What is going on, everybody? Nick Costa here, and welcome to this video lesson on groove number 1 from the quarter note pattern section of the groove library from the Zildjian drum set method. This video is going to help you learn groove number 1 and eventually get more comfortable with it so you can start to move that dominant hand around to various sections of the kit. Once you get all of that down, you are then going to hear some examples as if I am playing through a tune. That way you can hear how just changing that dominant hand can help shape the groove for specific sections of a tune. I'm excited to get into this with all of you, so let's get started. All right, so if you are starting out in your drumming journey or just might not have that much experience, this is a great first lesson for you to get started with. Okay, so if you are on a right-handed kit like I am, you are going to take the stick in your right hand, and that's going to be the one that hits the ride cymbal. You're going to play with the tip of the stick around that center section of the bow surface area. Now on my kit, I have a 24-inch classic orchestral ride cymbal, but if you have any Zildjian cymbal, you're going to be striking that cymbal around where the Zildjian logo is or where that branding logo is on the opposite side. Your non-dominant hand, your left hand in this case, is going to be played on the snare drum. So with this first groove, you are going to start out by playing the kick drum and the ride cymbal together on beat 1. You will then play both hands on beat 2. Then you do that entire pattern again for beats 3 and 4. So bass drum and ride cymbal on beat 3, and then finally both hands on beat 4. Now to get familiar with this groove, let's go ahead and take it nice and slow at 60 BPM. Play along with me for the next 16 bars. 1, 2, ready, and... Now that you've had that opportunity to play along and get a little more familiar with the groove, let's go ahead and up the tempo to 90 BPM. Now if you want a little bit of a challenge this time, as you're playing through the groove, try and play the hi-hat with your foot on beats 2 and 4 when you play the snare drum. I promise you this is going to help you in your drumming journey when you start to get introduced to various styles of playing. Once again, play along with me for 16 bars. 1, 2, ready, and... Alright, so now that you're at a point that you're more familiar with this groove, let's go ahead and move that dominant hand over to the hi-hat. You'll notice now when it comes time to play that snare drum, it's almost like a window opens up for that bottom hand. So now with that dominant hand over on the hi-hat, play along with me for the next 16 measures at 100 BPM. 1, 2, ready, and... Okay, so now that you're a little more familiar with playing that dominant hand on both the ride cymbal and the hi-hat, it's now time to start to experiment with how you play that dominant hand. Now, earlier in the lesson, I talked about playing the ride cymbal with the tip of the stick around the center section of the bow surface area. But you can actually play other areas of the ride as well. You can play with the shoulder of the stick on the bell of the cymbal. You can also play with the shoulder of the stick on the edge of the cymbal if you want it to wash out a little bit. You could do the same thing with the hi-hats. You can play with the tip of the stick around that center section of the bow surface area of the top hi-hat. You can also play with the shoulder of the stick on the edge of the hi-hats. The really rad thing about hi-hats, however, is that you can adjust the amount of pressure that's applied with your foot on the pedal, and that'll help open and close the hats and change the sound. So now, with all of that being said, when it comes time to playing a song, the one thing you always want to keep in mind is changing up how you play the groove so it fits the song better. Now, although I just gave you a few different examples, this is the part of the lesson where I want you to experiment a little bit. This is where you get to work on your improvisational and musicianship skills. So think about various ways that you can shift that dominant hand to help shape the groove. Now, as you transition from one to the next, think about playing a fill, like maybe that eighth note fill you learned in the earlier video from the Zildjian drum set method. That's just going to help with transitioning from one variation to the next. Now, although I want you to be creative and come up with your own variations, here are just a few to get you started. I'm going to play this groove at 120 BPM for 24 bars. 1, 2, 3, and... Okay, so to recap, in this video lesson, you learned groove number 1 from the quarter note pattern section of the groove library from the Zildjian drum set method. Now, if you have any additional questions, if you're viewing this video on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below, and either myself or someone from Zildjian will try and help you out in any way that we can. And if you are viewing this on the Zildjian Learning Zone YouTube channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification. That way you're notified of any additional content that gets uploaded to the channel. Also, feel free to check out the educational section of Zildjian's website. There you're going to find a ton of useful information to help either you or the drummer in your life along in their journey. And that is it. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hopefully you've gotten something from it. And until next time, see you later.